Ever wondered what it takes to undo a megaproject? If that megaproject was pointless or harmful, what would happen? For over a century, a series of dams harnessed the power of the Klamath River, fueling progress and prosperity, but these dams also blocked salmon migration, degraded water quality, and disrupted an entire ecosystem. This is the story of the largest dam removal project in US history. In the early 20th century, the Klamath River flowed wild and free for approximately 257 miles, 414 kilometers. From Upper Klamath Lake, southern Oregon, to eventually reaching the Pacific Ocean near the town of Klamath in Northern California. But progress, as it often did, had other plans. As local communities and industries expanded, particularly after World War I, a steady energy supply was necessary to support the economic growth of the region. So, in 1911, after years of planning, the Klamath River Dam project kicked off with the construction of Copco No. 1 Dam, which was completed in 1918, and over the following decades, 5 more dams were built: Link River, Copco 2, John C. Boyle, Iron Gate, and Keno, making a total of 6 dams along the river. The dams were essential for producing hydroelectric power and supporting agricultural irrigation, and with that, they brought a period of growth and prosperity to the region. In Siskiyou County, California, the population increased by over 30% between 1920 and 1960. Klamath County in Oregon saw similar growth. New industries flourished and farms expanded thanks to irrigation. By the mid-century, the surrounding agricultural industry in the Klamath Basin had grown substantially, generating over $600 million annually and creating 5,000 local jobs. But this progress came at a cost, one that wouldn't be fully understood for decades. The dams, built to provide power and water, had a devastating impact on the river's ecosystem. Salmon populations, once abundant, began to dwindle as their migration routes were blocked, with some runs declining by as much as 90%. The river's health suffered, water quality declined, and toxic algae blooms became more frequent, threatening both wildlife and human health. A particularly devastating fish kill in 2002 served as a wake-up call. Over 30,000 salmon perished, highlighting the urgent need for change. It became clear that the dams, once seen as symbols of progress, were now jeopardizing the very river they were built to harness. By the early 2000s, a movement to restore the Klamath River was gaining momentum. The Klamath tribes, who had long depended on the river's salmon, led the charge, demanding the removal of the dams. Years of negotiations and legislative efforts came to an end in 2016 when the Klamath Hydroelectric Settlement Agreement, KHSA, was signed by Pacific Corp, the dam's owner, tribal nations, and state governments, allowing for the removal of 4 dams: J.C. Boyle, Copco 1, Copco 2, and Iron Gate. Beyond the ecological concerns, the decision to remove the Klamath River dams was heavily influenced by a series of cost analyses. These studies compared the expenses of removing the dams versus upgrading them to meet current ecological and safety standards. Early estimates suggested that removing the dams could be $100 million cheaper than retrofitting them with fish passages and other necessary upgrades. Pacific Corp initially estimated the removal cost at around $215 million, a figure they presented as less than 2% of their total energy supply. However, the company later contested these figures, arguing that the costs associated with sediment management during dam removal were underestimated. Despite these differing estimates, the final decision favored removal, and the final overall cost was around $450 million. Funded through contributions from Pacific Corp, $200 million, and California, $250 million, making it the most expensive in US history. With the agreements in place, the largest dam removal project in US history, and the largest in the world in terms of river length restored, started. A non-profit organization was created specifically tasked with overseeing the dam removal process, the Klamath River Renewal Corporation, KRRC, and in 2021, Pacific Corp officially transferred ownership of the dams to KRRC. The deconstruction of the dams was a carefully orchestrated process, employing a variety of techniques to ensure both efficiency and environmental protection. Before any physical removal began, extensive site assessments were conducted, including topographic surveys, sediment sampling, and habitat evaluations. The reservoirs behind the dams were carefully drained to manage sediment release and prevent downstream impacts. Heavy construction equipment, such as excavators and bulldozers, was used extensively throughout the project. Specialized equipment like amphibious excavators was employed to access hard-to-reach areas within the riverbed. For some dams, controlled blasting was used to safely dismantle concrete structures. Copco 2, for example, was removed using drilling and blasting techniques. A comprehensive sediment management plan was developed to address the potential release of contaminated sediments during removal. This included both mechanical removal and natural flushing using water power from the reservoirs. Deconstruction began in earnest in 2023. Copco 2 was the first to be removed that summer. For the remaining ones, JC Boyle, Copco 1 and Iron Gate, reservoir drawdowns began in January of 2024, followed by their removal. By October 2024, ahead of schedule, all 4 dams were officially removed, marking a historic achievement in river restoration. The scale of the Klamath River Renewal Project was truly immense. It involved the demolition of approximately 100,000 cubic yards of concrete, the removal of about 2,000 tons of steel, and the excavation of around 1.3 million cubic yards of material from the dam sites. To put that in perspective, 100,000 cubic yards of concrete is enough to fill roughly 30 Olympic-sized swimming pools. Whenever possible, materials from the demolished dams, such as concrete and steel, were recycled and repurposed within the surrounding landscape to minimize waste and support ecological restoration efforts. While the deconstruction of the 4 major dams is a monumental achievement, it's important to remember that 2 dams remain, Kino and Link River. These dams were not included in the removal project due to their unique roles and the potential impacts their removal would have on the surrounding communities and ecosystems. Unlike the removed dams, Kino Dam does not generate hydropower. Instead, it plays a crucial role in managing water flows for irrigation and maintaining water levels in the Klamath Reclamation Project. Removing it would disrupt water management in the upper basin, impacting agricultural operations that many local farmers depend on. Link River Dam also serves a different purpose. It's primarily used for flood control and irrigation water supply, helping to manage water flow into Klamath Lake. Its removal could jeopardize flood protection and disrupt water supply for both agriculture and critical wildlife refuges. Both dams are already equipped with fish ladders, allowing for some degree of fish passage. While not ideal, these ladders provide a way for salmon to navigate around the dams and access upstream spawning grounds. But the work is far from over. The Klamath River Renewal Project is now focused on restoring the areas impacted by the dams and ensuring the long-term health of the river's ecosystem. This project involves the restoration of 2,200 acres of formerly submerged land. It's expected that removing these dams will significantly improve water quality and restore fish habitats, allowing salmon and other species to access over 400 miles of spawning grounds. In the coming years, more comprehensive restoration efforts will ramp up, including the design and construction of 18,000 feet of high-priority tributaries to enhance fish passage and habitat. From 2026 to 2030, a dedicated team will track the progress of restoration efforts, ensuring their success and providing regular reports to regulatory agencies. The Klamath River Renewal Project is a landmark achievement, but it's not the first time dams have been removed to restore rivers in the United States. In fact, there's a growing movement to undo some of the ecological damage caused by dams, recognizing that sometimes the best way forward is to step back. One example is the Elwha River Dam removal in Washington state. Completed in 2014, this project removed 2 dams, including the Glines Canyon Dam, which was the tallest dam ever removed in the world. The Elwha River is now free-flowing for the first time in over a century, and its salmon populations are rebounding. In Massachusetts, the removal of the Brewster Dam on the Herring River in 2019 has restored tidal flow and improved habitat for fish and wildlife. This project has revitalized a vital ecosystem and brought back important species like river herring. And it's not over. Several major dam removal projects are currently being discussed and debated across the country. In the Pacific Northwest, the removal of 4 dams in the lower Snake River is a major topic of discussion. These dams have significantly impacted salmon populations, and their removal could restore hundreds of miles of critical habitat. While the Biden administration has expressed support for preparing to breach these dams, there's also strong opposition from those concerned about the potential impacts on hydropower generation and shipping. In Maine, the Penobscot River Restoration Project is already underway. This ambitious project aims to remove 2 dams and improve fish passage on others, restoring access to over 1,000 miles of habitat for Atlantic salmon and other species. In Montana, discussions are ongoing regarding the potential removal of the Salish, Kasanka, and Quilispa Dam on the Middle Fork Flathead River. In 2023 alone, a record-breaking 80 dams were removed across the United States. This brings the total number of dams removed since 1912 to over 2,100. These removals have reconnected 1,160 upstream river miles, restoring vital habitats and improving water quality. Thank you for watching. What are your thoughts on the deconstruction of megaprojects? Share your perspectives in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more stories of mega builds. See you in the next one.